everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the G-Corp Starter Pack here on Tekken Junk. Today we're going to talk about throws. Now this is going to be a longer video because there are a lot of throws, there are a lot of things to know about throws, and throws are super important in Tekken. Now in Tekken, every character has a generic throw game. Now all generic throws are done with two sets of button combinations, only two. Now those combinations are 1+3, or left punch and left kick together, or 2+4, right punch and right kick together. Each character has at least 5 different generic throws. The first two, 1+3 and 2+4, when executed face to face with your opponent, result in 2 separate throws, with 2+4 letting you switch sides with your opponent. Now, why would you want to switch sides with your opponent, right? Let's say that your opponent favors the player 2 side. They can do electrics from over there. That's the only place that they've trained most of their execution. If you can land a 2+4 throw on them, that's a given advantage for you, because you'll see their execution suffer instantly. Just make sure that you've trained too on both sides so that you don't put yourself in a bad situation. And you might be thinking, hey, that's only 2 throws. But your throws change a bit depending on where you are relative to your opponent. That's what makes up the 5. So, outside of the 2 generic throw types that we've talked about so far, there are 3 more. 1 from the left, 1 from the right, and 1 from behind your opponent. Unlike a face-to-face throw, the 1+2 and 2+4 throw inputs, and even command throws, which we'll talk about later, will result in the same throw when they're done from these angles. There are certain exceptions to that, but we'll talk about that later as well. Now let's talk about breaking throws. You will not be the only player out there that's tossing out throws. And because of that, it's imperative that you learn not only how to use them, but also how to escape them. Throw escapes, or throw breaks as they're more commonly called, can be done 3 different ways. But for generic throws, you'll only be using 2 of them. The 1 button and the 2 button. These buttons can be used interchangeably to break generic face-to-face throws. Remember, face-to-face. But when we get into left and right side throws, it becomes a bit different. When you're thrown from your left side, you have to press the 1 button as the throw connects, and you have to press the 2 button if the throw comes from your right side. Think about it like this. Because 1 controls your left arm and 2 controls your right arm, you have to use the button that corresponds to whichever side your opponent is throwing you from. It's also worth noting that any throw that connects from behind cannot be broken at all. Cool. So now that we understand generic throws, it's important to understand that generic throws are not the only types of throws that exist in Tekken. There's another throw archetype called command throws. These throws are unique and specific to each character, if they even have them, and they can be done by inputting either a single directional command or a sequence of directional commands before inputting the actual button combination to initiate the throw. Unlike the inputs for generic throws, command throws are character specific, like I mentioned. For example, Jack 7's Body Smash is done by inputting down back 2+3. Another example is Dragunov's Blizzard Rush, done with forward 1+2. Another more complicated one is the infamous Giant Swing from King and Armor King, which is done by doing forward and then a half circle forward and then 1. Now, breaking command throws is a bit more complex than breaking generic throws. When breaking command throws, you have to pay close attention to the motion of your opponent's hands. When your opponent's right hand is in front of their left one, that signals us to break the throw with the 2 button. And when they lead with the left, we use the 1 button. If both hands come out at the same time, that means that we break the throw with the 3rd option, 1+2. It sounds simple enough, right? Well, the startup animations where you can see this are really fast, so if you aren't used to them, they might be hard to see at first. Now let's talk about chain throws. Chain throws are an even more unique throw type, belonging to only 4 characters: King, Armor King, Anna, and Nina. Chain throws begin with what I call a starter throw, and then you input very specific button sequences in order to continue the chain until you get to the ender throw. Some starter throws have deviations that allow you to reach different ender throws from the same starter throw. An example of that would be something like King's Cobra Clutch starter throw. This starter throw goes into Cobra Twist and then into reverse DDT. And from the reverse DDT, you can input the sequence for the next part of the chain, which is the reverse special stretch bomb, or you can input the sequence for the early ender deviation, Samurai Rock. Now, this might not make sense to anyone who's not a King player, but just know that with these chain throws, sometimes there's ways to end them early. Now let's move on to crouch throws. Crouch throws are usually a mix between generic throws and command throws that will only connect with a crouching opponent. An example of this would be King's Iron Lariat, done by inputting down 1+3 while your opponent is crouching in your throw range. Ground throws, similar to crouch throws, can only be done when your opponent is fully knocked down and grounded. An example of this would be Marduk's Hercules Hammer, or down back 1+3. There are some throws that only hit at the opponent's head or feet, but those are very rare. You have to pay attention to which move is being used in order to break these, because the breaks are specific to the ground throw used. Now, for air throws are usually the same inputs as generic throws, but they only connect with airborne opponents. They're mostly used as combo enders, but they can also be used to catch a jumpy opponent who's in the air a lot, or someone who likes to use up forward 4 hop kicks or stuff like that. Air throws are also unbreakable, so keep that in mind too. Wall throws are pretty self-explanatory. They're essentially command throws that can be done post-wall splat, while the opponent is still in the wall. Wall throws are very uncommon and cannot be broken. Now for my favorite, tackles. Tackles are throws that, when landed, will put you in a mounted state where you can do generic punch attacks by alternating between the 1 and the 2 buttons. These buttons can be deflected by correctly guessing which arm the attacker will choose during the mount and pressing the corresponding button. While certain characters have specific inputs that trigger a tackle, such as Dragunov's down back 1+2, I think Paul has that as well, a universal tackle can be done by running into an opponent from 11 to 12 steps away. That's almost a full screen away. When reversed, the opponent will roll us over and become the aggressor in the mounted state, able to start throwing the punches, and you'll have to guess. Now, last but not least, let's talk about attack throws. Now, attack throws are extremely rare, and they start with a standard attack before transitioning into a throw. That allows attack throws to be blocked, unlike other throws. But if the initial attack hits, the follow-up is unbreakable. An example of an attack throw would be Dragunov's Pinpoint Fracture, done by inputting quarter circle forward 4 and then pressing 1, 3, 4, 2 in sequence on contact. And that's it. That's all the throw types that exist in Tekken 7. I appreciate you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at WakeUpAnything. You can follow me on Instagram, also at WakeUpAnything. You can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/SC_Starbolt. And I will see you in the next video. We're going to be talking about launchers and combos, everyone's favorite thing. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you again on the next episode of the G-Corp Starter Pack on Tekken Jump.